All
We're
right,
good.
there we are. All right.
Woo.
Welcome to Brick City Radio. I'm Puck.
I'm Becca, and we have a very special guest for you today. Here with us, one of our good friends from the Twitch Lego community. We have the wonderful Matt Melish. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt. How's it
Hello.
going?
Doing
How you
well.
doing?
Good to see you guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're welcome.
We're so glad to have you.
What kind of time is it for you today?
So I'm here on the East Coast. I'm from Pennsylvania, actually, in the US. So it is 3:02 for me. Afternoon.
Okay.
3:02
all right.
for you. It's 8 o'clock in the evening for me, so.
And I'm
There you
behind
go.
done my
everybody.
day.
It's only 2:02 here for me, so it's
It's
still
amazing.
early. Still early in the day.
Oh,
I
that's
just
so
love how
early.
the internet brings us all together from all different parts of the globe. It's so cool.
I know, all over the
It
place, all over the
and to
place.
think that only 10 years ago this would not have been even thought of, not a thing.
Right.
You would never have even thought about doing this in this style at all.
Right.
It's just phenomenal.
I know, it's so
Absolutely.
crazy. So, obviously, I said, Matt, we know you from Twitch. But do you want to just give us a little lowdown about yourself? How you got on. How long you've been on Twitch, if you're anywhere else, and just how
Yeah.
how we got to know you through Twitch, etc.
Absolutely. So, first off, if we're just meeting for the first time, it's good to see you all here. Hi, I'm Matt. We kind of have to go back before I started streaming and
Yeah, take us all the way back. Take us all
before
the
I
way
got
back.
into Lego content. So, I actually am in my mid 20s now, but I in college majored in graphic design and marketing. And so there was a time after college where I was all set actually to go and work for Disney because I did the Disney college program.
Okay.
And then unfortunately COVID hit my senior year
Oh.
and
no.
it
Oh,
completely
no.
threw me off track. And I was furloughed and fired from the company, which was
Oof.
pretty terrible. But I wasn't the only person who was in that boat. There were people who were there way longer than I was who were in a similar boat. So I, at that time, actually started making TikTok videos. And because I had majored in graphic design, I wanted to market my art and maybe even sell it on the internet. And one thing led to another, and I made one Lego video showing that even, Lego building can be art and is just as meaningful in that capacity. And it immediately kind of blew up more than my other TikToks had at the time. And I'm like, maybe there's a niche here. Maybe there's something here. And so I was one of the first, a part of the TikTok community making Lego content.
Okay.
And then that kind of just spiraled out from there over the last few years. It's crazy that it's now 2024, kind of going into 2025 actually. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But
we are very close. We are very close though.
Can't believe how quickly time flies by.
I know, it's crazy scary, right?
But, ever since then, I've had some great success and been blessed to have, an amazing community of people that we've grown both on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, where I started cross-posting my short-form content. And then I also was able to, participate in the Lego Ambassador Network as an ambassador for my community and kind of bridge the gap between Lego and the online space. So it's been really exciting. A few years ago, well, I guess it was last year. Seems like longer because it's been so much fun. But I think it was last March. Twitch actually reached out along with a few other Lego content creators, and we're trying to kind of bring people over to this platform. And I was happy to participate and start streaming for the first time, and ever since then it's just been a lot of fun, and I've never wanted to leave, so
So they
it's good to
actually
be here.
reached out to you. Twitch actually reached out to you.
Yes.
That's really, really cool.
That's really,
Yeah.
that's
I didn't
very
even
cool.
know. I didn't even know that Twitch did such things. Like would ask people to come over onto a platform. That's amazing.
What do you do
I
now?
didn't either. It was, I'll be honest with you. So when I got the email, I was like, this looks a little fishy. Like, I'm not so sure this is legit. And I like researched the individual who claimed they were on LinkedIn and other platforms and was just trying to do some digging. And like, actually, this might seem semi-legit. And I just happened to send an email back just to see a week later. And so I'm glad that I did that, or else I wouldn't be here. But
Yeah, we're glad you popped on too, because I might have not ever known who you were.
right,
it-
same.
and a lot of that is because I do other platforms, but I'm not a big TikTok person.
Sure.
It mainly is I do so much content that I don't like going down the deep dark rabbit hole that is social media sometimes, the doom scrolling, and
Yep.
I can't do it. It gives me anxiety. So I tell people when I'm posting content online, a lot of the content that I post is pre-done.
Right.
I schedule content to go out and then I forget about it, and I'm just like, no, I'm not I'm not going over there. We're not doing this. So you said that you did one Lego video over on TikTok to start with.
Yep.
Now, did you like Lego before, or was this just you were like, "Hey, this would be cool to do and let's try something?"
So I was kind of in the middle of well, people call them dark ages, where
Okay.
you stop building for a period of
Uh-huh.
time. I
Oh
would
yeah.
call it more of a gray age, where I was in college for a time. I was very busy. I was working like 3 jobs at once, taking 18 credits a class, and I
Oh,
just didn't have any time or money to be building Lego at that point.
okay.
So then when COVID hit and I moved back home with all
Mm.
of my Lego and I had everything again, it was like a nice point, like it was for so many other people, to revisit the hobby. And it's not like I never stopped buying or like caring about it, because I
Right.
remember watching reviews and seeing what other sets are coming out during that period, because I always have loved Lego content as well.
Right.
And I'd buy one set here and there, but it was also, I'm a big Star Wars fan. So
Hey,
du-
that's nothing wrong with that.
but during that time, it was when the sequel trilogy films were coming out. And honestly, this might be not a good thing to say, but I'm not a big sequel trilogy fan,
Okay. That's
personally.
okay.
So I wasn't as excited to be buying Lego sets from that theme, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah,
It does. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah,
So yeah, always been a Lego fan. My first Lego set I got like at my 8-year-old birthday party. It was just like a little clone Scout Walker from Star Wars.
Aw.
So always have been into the hobby. It's always been something that I can enjoy on my own. And I had kind of I'm not gonna say a rough childhood, but like I was bullied in middle school and elementary
Oof.
school. So
Yep.
it was something that I could enjoy on my own and fall back to as also an only child.
Oh
hey,
yeah.
that
No. Well,
gives you
I
something to
was.
do.
Yeah, and it's like I was very badly bullied. Middle and middle school in particular was the worst.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So something like that you can just come home, be in a safe space, and just
Right.
sort of concentrate, on building something for you that is like tactile, to sort of, that does take your worries away. And I mean, even as an adult, oh
Right.
no, I've got a big tax bill coming. Let me build this set that make me feel better.
Right. No, it's definitely a
the
way to
government's
escape.
the government bullying us for taxes rather than the bully down the road. But it's the
Yeah.
same principle. It's the same principle. And
The
it's
nerdy kids
interesting.
back then always got hit hard. I don't know if it's quite as bad anymore because kind of the nerds have kind of taken over everything. It's
I don't
kind of
know, but
cool. It's kind of cool now to build Lego and do computers and all that kind of stuff. Whereas 10 years ago you would have
Right.
been like, you're doing what now?
Right. Even being a
I
Star
know.
Wars fan, let alone a Lego
Right.
fan, like when the sequel trilogy came out, I think that was a time when a lot of normies got into Star Wars and like pop
Yeah.
culture. Marvel
Yep.
also opened the door for that for a lot of people, I think. And I think like with the adults welcome slogan that Lego introduced along with 18 plus sets, I think that really has had a positive impact. I think even just
Oh,
like
for sure.
botanical sets have had such a positive impact on opening the
Yeah,
gates and
it's so
allowing
pretty.
more people to come into the hobby.
Yeah, I got some botanicals for my mom for her birthday, and she was like, "This is Lego?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, isn't it gorgeous?" And she was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Well, they make adult sets. They make stuff to decorate your home now.
Right.
You have plenty of options." I will 100% agree that when they open the door more towards adults, all the adults that were building and in the Lego closet, for quotes,
Right.
all just came out and were like, "Hey, we've been building for 30, 40 years, some of us, and it's okay now to tell everybody we build Lego." um and
I
and
Right.
it
know.
and it is crazy. I've had people that I have known for 20 years since I was a kid that have shown up and they were like, "Oh, well, yeah, no, I've been building. I just didn't tell anybody." And I was like, "But I was building at the same time period and you couldn't have told me that you were interested in this? It would have given us more things in common."
Right.
I
But
know.
sure.
Oh, I just started a new job, and in my job interview, they asked me, I think she sort of put it as, so, who is Rebecca after 5 o'clock? When you close the laptop and, what do you do? And I was like, I was just like, I build Lego. I said, I'm a Lego person. I have a Lego podcast with my best friend in Texas.
Aw.
I watch Lego being built. I build it. I talk about it.
Yeah.
That I'm a Lego girl, and I just thought, and it just sort of came flooding out. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure how this is going to land, and the
What have I
ladies,
done?
and so I had a lady and a gentleman interviewing me, and the gentleman's eyes got wider and wider as I was talking. And my manager is my manager now. Mandy turned to Mike and said, "Oh, I think Mike rather likes that." And Mike said, "Yes, I do." And I got the job. So, I'm not saying I
Congrats.
got the
That's
job
awesome.
because of Lego, but, it might have helped.
That's awesome.
And, I think that proves that the reception that you get now when you talk about Lego is changed. It has changed,
Yeah.
and it is
Well,
changing.
100%. Yeah.
And, I love that. And it was interesting you mentioned about that slogan, "Adults Welcome," because that actually split the community a little bit. That slogan.
Right.
Some people found that a bit offensive. They didn't
Right.
like it. They're like,
It's like, was
"Adults
I not
welcome? Of
welcome
course we're
before?
welcome." Like,
Yeah,
I
was
just
I
gave
never
you
allowed to build?
700. I just gave you £600 for that set, Lego. Of course I'm welcome.
Right.
But I just think anything that even remotely acknowledges the fact that we're all here for it, all the generations, is a nice thing. I'm so pleased that coming into this community, especially in the Twitch community, you get all ages, all ages. I love that. And people then bring their kids along,
Right.
and it just, it's one thing I just love about Lego. It's how it just is for everybody.
It brings so many people together from different places, different countries, different parts of the country, and like the U.S. Because uh, when you think about like the United States in a general idea, you kind of have to think about it as like multi countries coming together, because you do see such differences between like I'm from South Texas, and you'll see that people in South Texas, the people that build here, you'll see that their interests are very different than, let's say, someone in like New York City and
Right.
their building style. Mainly it's a oh well, in Texas you'll see a lot of train stuff. It's a big train community down here. But
I
then
love trains.
when I went up to New York, you see a lot of like landscape stuff where there's a lot
Hmm.
of designing of like mountains and the architecture kind of stuff, versus like here where all the shows that I've been to here, you mostly see a lot of trains. uh,
Right.
I don't
That's
know.
really interesting. It's always like, art is always affected by the environment that the artist lives in. And
Yep.
like I said earlier, Lego is sort of its own art medium.
Yep.
And it's amazing to go to conventions, and we got to meet a little bit and talk at
Oh
BrickWorld
yeah,
Chicago. And it's just always so great to see everybody come together to some of those bigger conventions and show off what they've been able to do.
absolutely. So you do Lego content as a full-time job, right? Like
Yeah,
that's what
if
you
you want to
do.
call it that.
If you
um,
want
it's as
to.
it's as full time as it is. Meaning I am putting all of my time and energy into it, and I'm not working any other jobs currently.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I've been doing that for the last 2 years now, and it's weird because it is kind of inconsistent, admittedly, in terms of just like finances and the way that you make money through content creation, and kind of depending on sponsors and brand deals and all of that.
Yep.
But
Of course.
also, um, you know, it is full time, even though sometimes I don't feel like it is in that same sense.
No,
But
that makes sense. Yeah.
it allows me to do what I love, and as long as it's able to keep me afloat here, and pay the
Keep
bills.
your lights on, right?
Right, exactly. I'm going to continue doing it. And luckily I'm at the point in my life where I really don't have like a ton of responsibilities. I don't have a wife or kids or a mortgage or anything like that. So I'm very blessed in that capacity to really be
Yeah.
able to go forward and see what this turns into. But I think
It's always
because
exciting. It's always exciting when
right,
you're like, where is this
So
gonna go?
what was your feeling when, like, describe that time when you made that decision to go to, full-time content, as a content creator,
sure.
and what was that feeling like, and that sort of process of deciding to take that leap?
Sure. I think for a lot of people, like, it's pretty abrupt, like, or like it feels like I'm taking a big risk. But honestly, for me, when I decided to go full time into Lego, it was really natural because during COVID, my college had actually invited me back to be a residential supervisor for quarantining students. So I
Oh wow.
basically like had to take care of groups of like students from sports teams who would all contract COVID at the same time, and make sure
Oof.
that they were kind of being watched over, properly fed, and all of that. But I had my room and board paid for. So I was sort of
Nice.
working for them, doing Lego at the same time, and then slowly as COVID was ending, that phased out, and I was still doing hotline calls and contact tracing, which was a lot of fun, let me tell you. But when that had ended, it just kind of felt like a natural progression to then move into doing it myself full time here, because I had sort of saved up enough money to get me through, a period of time if I wasn't necessarily making a lot. And
Yeah.
since then, I've just been honestly really blessed with a lot of really great opportunities. That was also kind of the same point where I applied to the Lego Ambassador Network. So,
Okay.
like, one thing just kind of progressed to another. Twitch reached out to me. I did a project with Lego 2K when they did the Lego 2K Drive video game. Lego's reached out to me for some other, fun paid opportunities now and again. So, it's just funny how one thing leads to another. And at the end of the line, you look back and kind of see where you came from. And it's just, it's been a wild journey.
And that must feel so nice for you, because I would have been really gutted if I'd have just got a job with Disney, and then
Right.
some global pandemic just happened to come along and destroy my opportunity. I would have been so
I'm
upset.
with Becca there. I would have had a cow.
And so, after the woe is me, my life is over, when I got over myself, I probably, would have done what you done, picked myself back up and, tried whatever came my way. But, being able to look back after a time like that and see how far you've come and how well you've done, that must feel really good. That must feel good.
And it's crazy. And it's crazy because that Disney program is quite competitive to get into itself.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that got into that program and were part of that program, and to have gotten that far, I
Right.
but here you are. You've made it, and you're doing something that you love.
Yes.
And you're in a community that is very welcoming, and in a way, the Lego family has some ties to the Disney family still, in the sense of, Lego makes Disney related products.
Right.
So you still kind of touch base with your love for Disney, I'm sure, in your Lego building.
No, and it really was always my dream to work for Disney. Like, since I was a kid, that was my goal. And it is just funny. I think we end up where we're supposed to be in life, whether we like it or not. And I'm, believe me, beyond grateful for where I am right now. And personally, I'd choose where I am over what I was hoping to do. And it's funny because, Puck, you and I were talking about photography before we started here live, and what I was doing at Disney was actually photo pass photography at the college program.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
So that also gave me a lot of experience to then, go into content creation and kind of know my way around with video and cameras and what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And there you go.
It's amazing how, when you're in one aspect of something, so like you said, in the photography aspect, where all the stuff that you learn about cameras and equipment and everything just kind of compile down into, oh, well, I can now use that to do this.
Yep.
And create content using all the stuff that I learned doing everything else.
This is a personal thing, but I am a bit of a believer in sort of fate, not so much as your path is already laid out in front of you, but I believe choices are laid down in front of you, and every time that I've made a decision that has been a positive thing, I've always just got a feeling that it was the right thing to do. And maybe you didn't get to go into the Disney program this time because this was coming, so you never know. And let's face it, Lego and Disney are not a world apart. They have a massive relationship, so you never know what's going to come down the path. How long have you been doing this for? Would it be about 4 years?
Yeah, which is wild to even consider, just because of how quickly it's flown by.
So if you imagine in another sort of 4 years' time, when you're looking back at this, who knows where you'll be then, and where what you'll be doing, and who you'll be working with. And we would, like we're just saying,
it's like, which road are we going? Do we take a left or a right?
Oh, that's making me think of Pocahontas, where she chooses to go down the rocky path and not the path.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is funny too. Sometimes things come back around. Like it is funny because when I started content creation about a year after, Disney actually called me back up and they were like, "Hey, do you want to come back and
Oh,
work
wow.
the same job
There
that you
you
were
go.
doing?" And the door opened back up, and it was like a point where I had to decide, am I happy doing what I'm doing? Do I want to continue, just as you said, down this road, or do I
Mhm.
want to go back around? And I felt like, no, we got to keep pushing forward here. There's something more here. I could
Yeah.
always feasibly always go back if I wanted to and work for somebody else in that capacity. But
Mm.
doing your own thing and being able to have your own vision for your own content and what you want to do, I think, not very many people get opportunities like that, and it's important to take advantage of it.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
absolutely. So, if you're happy to share that sort of thing with us, do you have a vision? Can you see up the path a little bit for you? Do you know where you'd like it to go? What direction you might be heading in at the moment?
Sure. I honestly, in my life, just as I've kind of outlined, things have just kind of had a natural progression, and I kind of am at a point where I am slowly trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing next. Like, what do the next 4 years look like, just as you said?
Mm.
And it's not as easy to see when you're like in the thick of it, and you do have the ability to drive forward with your own sort of intention, and you're not just kind of like taking what's handed to you, if that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah.
No, it
But
definitely makes sense.
I do have some plans for what I've wanted to do, honestly. I have been kind of set back just a little bit. It is funny because um like I said, I started with short form content, and now I'm
Yep.
streaming on Twitch, which I never would have expected, by the way. But I'm really glad that I am, because I love the community, and that's really the reason why I've stuck around.
Mm.
And like, I've always wanted to do YouTube. I've always wanted to do long form. And I
Yeah, long
thought that
form content.
short form would kind of bleed into that, and it would give me an audience, because TikTok was just budding at the time when I got into it, and that's kind of how I got as large of a following as I was blessed to have. And that would be the natural progression, but also that does take a lot more time than just making short form videos. And
Yeah, it
I'm a bit of
does.
a perfectionist when it comes to those sorts of things too, which doesn't help. So I'm kind of at the point, my own worst enemy, because I have a huge backlog of things that I kind of owe, like LAN stuff. So I'm trying to parse through that, and then also, in the meantime, find time to stream. And I think the next few months, maybe the next several months, I'm just going to kind of put my nose to the grindstone and get done what I need to get done, so that I can kind of take the next step forward and do more long form YouTube videos. And honestly, I really do want to stream more. But I feel like once I'm caught up, it will allow me some air to be able to maybe do something different. Because I love short form
Yeah.
content, and I never want to stop that, but I want to continue spreading my wings.
Yeah, that's
Well,
that's what the question I was going to ask is, do you find a major difference in the long form and short form, in the sense of who's coming to see you, the interaction that you're getting? Do you enjoy more interaction because of long form, because they can interact more? Or is it kind of, you're seeing the same kind of interaction in both places?
TikTok is definitely skewed younger. Even though there are plenty of people who are our age and older there.
Right.
But Twitch has been really fun because the audience is a bit more mature. And you can actually like have that one-on-one conversation in the chat. And that's kind of what I was alluding to before with the community, is like, I just love being able to talk to folks like you and have serious conversations and discussions about even something as fun as Lego is. It is funny how we can go so deep into it sometimes.
oh yeah.
But I also think that YouTube lends itself to doing that, and that's why I want to do more.
That makes sense. And I agree. The conversations that we're able to have as adults, and you can have deep conversations with the younger people too. But for sure, getting down and nitty gritty with Lego and being able to dig deep into what's going on with the community, but also with the company in itself.
Right.
There are so many things that you could reach into and talk about that I think should be talked about. And that's what we kind of wanted to do with this podcast in general, like with what we do, is to really dig deep into where the Lego community is going, the different Lego community members and how they're in that community, because each of y'all that are in the community brings something different or knows something different about the community or has a different reach in the community. And it's so cool to see all the different of opinions. And I just love that.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that, and that's I always I talk about it a lot. I'm not a streamer, as you know, and everybody knows I'm not comfortable on camera whatsoever. So this is a huge deal for me. But I also bring a different perspective as somebody who's a non-techie, non-streamer. I'm the oldest one here, at the moment. So, I think it's great to just bring different
Age is
perspectives,
just a number,
well, yeah,
please.
absolutely. I know. I'm also the most immature one here too, so that doesn't mean anything. Um, you talk about, but going back to what you were saying about serious talks, I think it's really important to be real. It's so important to be real.
Yeah.
We come to Twitch. Well, some people, come to Twitch for all different reasons, but a lot of it is to take a breath of fresh air from life. Life is so busy and stressful, and we all have our things it's individual things going on. But at the end of the day, we can log on and have a bit of fun and a bit of silliness, and talk about things that we love, and then it gets real, and we all go, "Whew, yeah, actually, that's kind of made me talk about something that really I probably should have tried to get off my chest before, but now it's here and it's out and it's open." But then we move on again, and it goes back to so I think it's kind of just
Right.
healthy to do that, to be real, and to get those little bit of deep talks every out and every now and again, and then go back to the
Yeah.
fun.
I think people are starved for authenticity as well. And
Yeah.
short form content does not lend itself to that, because it's all about trying to get the retention up as high as you can and keep eyeballs glued. And as you're scrolling past into the
You need
depths
them
of the
you need them
feed,
to stop. You need them to stop for a second to look.
exactly, it's that goldfish attention span that you're trying to tap into. But Twitch and long form content really, you know, even 8 minutes to 5 hours in that time span, um, it's nice to just kind of relax a little bit more and,
Yeah.
like you said, be real with people. And that's why I
Yeah.
love long form streaming here on Twitch too. Is just like, I feel like I can truly be my authentic self and be honest about like how I feel about a set or whatever's going on in the community, just to have that open bit of dialogue between the community and myself. And
Yeah.
And
I
see
don't know, it's really fun as well.
that's where, when I started on Twitch, I made the decision that I wanted to keep the authenticity real. Like I didn't want to put on a persona. Of course I'm putting on a show, because it is a show. No matter what anyone tells anybody, we are entertainers. We are putting on a show, but at the same time I want to put on a show as myself and have fun with it. But I want to be real. I don't want to be like, "Oh, well, I love every set that is possibly out there, and that they make everything just 100% guarantee, like, beautiful." I am not that person. I will say, "Oh, I don't like this. I don't like the way that this was done. But I'm not just stopping there. I tell people why I don't like something. I don't just say, oh, I don't like this because, it sucks. I actually go into, well, they
Right.
did a good job, but there's this here that they could have done better. And I find that if you look out into the world in any form of content or any form of art or anything, it has become one of those things where the people are either they are authentic and they are giving their opinion, or they're just doing like what they do on TikTok or Instagram, and they're just doom scrolling and hitting a like button, but not really stopping to understand what's going on. Because sometimes I've run into things where I posted content and it will get tons of likes, and I look at it, I'm like, y'all must be like, you said like goldfish brain. I was like, but this isn't even interesting. Like it literally is nothing.
Right.
It's really not. Come see me over here and we can actually talk about it. Like that's what I like to do is bring people into a conversation, be like, what is the problem that is going on, or why did this set do so poorly, or why is this designed this way? I like bringing up those questions.
So,
Right.
do you both, as content creators, find that happens on a regular basis? That you'll do something, maybe you won't really think anything of it, or perhaps you sort of think, oh, I didn't like that very much, but oh well, it's out there now, and then it gets a good reception, and it's sort of, you're like you said, you're like, I don't get it. Is that
All
something
the
you find
time.
happens?
All the time. All the
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the
That's
videos
funny.
that I put like all of my time and effort into, and honestly, like my favorite videos that I make that just do not perform very well. And then it's the videos that I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna make this today, or I'm gonna work on this for this next few days, and those are the ones that like perform really well. It's just you can never predict, especially with short form,
No.
what's gonna really blow up. But also that's not necessarily my goal with content. Like, of course, like I want to be successful and have people enjoy what I put out, but I also kind of like selfishly do it for me because I really enjoy the process of making videos.
Hey,
And I
and
think
we should
when you're
enjoy
doing
it.
that, that's where the success comes from.
I think if you're spending all of your time and energy on something, then you need to be able to enjoy it. I mean, that's, it's that dream thing, isn't it? If you're working, the dream is to be able to do something that you love and working on something that you're passionate about. And
100%.
you're in that lucky position to be able to do that. So I'm really pleased you enjoy it, because that would be, believe me, I know what it's like to be stuck in the job where you're not feeling you're going anywhere, and it's sort of the same
Me too.
day in, day out. We've all been there. And it can be a little bit soul destroying after time. So you've got this incredible creative position where you can kind of make what you want to make and make what you want of that as well, and have that opportunity to change what, if you're doing something and you maybe run out of energy for that project or that particular genre, you can change. And then, I just think that's really interesting. It's lovely to be in a creative position, as your everyday thing.
And a touch base with like what Matt said. I've had videos where I've spent all of maybe like 10 minutes making, and they just they do better than the ones that I spend more time doing. And you look at it and you're literally like I said before, like he said with the goldfish brain, is you look at it and you're like, what? You hit 1,000? How? You're just literally a little video of me panning my camera around a build and with some music, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
why?
I mean, even I could probably make that.
Well, and that's the interesting part
phone.
about it. That's the interesting part about it, is a lot of the content that I produce, I can't speak for Matt, but a lot of the content that I produce, mainly because I don't do a lot of short form, I do with my phone. Like,
Yeah.
I have an iPhone, great
I
beginner kind of
mean,
camera.
great
It
camera,
does what I need it to do. And a lot of people that want to get into like content creating, you can do it with your phone. Like, that's a great way to start. Just,
Yep.
grab a phone, get some Lego, do some building, do some short videos. There are tons of ways to do it. I can't guarantee that it will blow up. Like that's never guaranteed.
knowing
That
my
is-
luck with me and technology, it possibly could while I'm using it, because you know what my luck's like with technology. It doesn't like me. I always swear I have this crazy magnetic field or something. Things just seem to kind of break.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing that sets all the sort of, you have to go through the scanners at the airport.
yeah.
It's always setting them off. And I swear, I've asked my mum so many times, are you sure I don't have like a metal plate somewhere or something? Because I set things off all the time. Talking about content, Lego content in particular, what's your collection like? Because I've seen quite a few
I see a bunch of
things.
different things. Yeah.
And so I get the idea that although you said you are obviously a big Star Wars fan, and I know you have a lot of Star Wars sets, that you might also actually have, quite an eclectic collection.
I see
there.
pirate ships back there. That's what caught my eye.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I like, but when I was a kid, I had to really pick and choose
Of course,
because
like all of us.
right, and I was buying everything as a kid. My parents would buy me one or two things out of the year, birthday or Christmas, whatever. And, I had to kind of work for everything else and either do chores or like go rake the neighbor's leaves or do something to earn it. And over time, you learn what adult money is and what it feels like to be able to have your own finances and to make those difficult decisions of, do I want this as much as the price is, or
Yeah.
can I live without it? And
Yeah.
I'm a big Star Wars fan. I love Marvel as well. So it always has been and always will be Star Wars. Marvel came in later, and then Disney started creeping in with these new Lego sets that they've been putting out.
No.
And then, LAN, the Lego Ambassador Network, it's been amazing to really feel like I can branch out because we get a certain budget through support that we can purchase and kind of pick what sets we would like to get, and then you have review offers that randomly arrive in your inbox. So
that's always nice.
Nice.
Right, it's a lot of fun, but the problem is I like it all now. And so now it's like, well, I really like that, I really like that, I really like that, and it's like, oh my, we don't have that much space anymore.
Nope.
And so, I live in a very small apartment, and it's now trying to figure out how to maximize that space and condense. And so recently I've been struggling to figure out what I need to tear apart and how I can reorganize in order to kind of make a better collection. But yeah, I also have Pirates of the Caribbean sets, which are from my childhood as well, because that was such a great theme, and I wish they would bring it back. Gosh
I
darn
wish
it.
they would too.
I
Oh,
know.
that would be
Oh,
great.
one of my
That would be phenomenal.
biggest regrets is not getting the Black Pearl. I should have got it. I always
It's an
wish
awesome
I had
set.
it. I love
He's
the
like,
set.
it's
all
good.
the
It's
pirate
good.
ships, all the pirate stuff. I really like, but I remember standing there in the store with it in my hand and convincing myself not to get it. It was too much money at the time.
Yeah.
All of that. And I felt so proud of myself that I hadn't got it and that I'd not spent the money on something frivolous. And I can still feel the box in my hand. And I wish the nonsensible Becca had come out that day and gone, oh, go on. Go on, just one little Lego set, one little pirate ship won't hurt. Because I do really regret that now, because it's, you know, it's a film franchise that I really, really enjoyed, and I still enjoy. And I've always been into pirate stuff, and yeah, so every time I see one, I'm like, oh, ouch.
Yeah.
But I just love that set. I really do. I think it's great.
I think a lot of us have run into the space issue before. I think
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of us have run into the I should have bought this before. And you know, I tell people I am the wrong person if you come to me and say, "Should I buy this?" I am the wrong person to ask. I'm sorry, but as a Lego content creator, I am never going to tell you no. I just am not. That is not going to happen. Now, I may say something like, well, did you pay your bills this month? Is your power going to stay on? Do you have money to eat? Now,
Are you
that doesn't-
responsible?
Oh no.
Well, for me,
Absolutely
it
not.
doesn't even come down to the responsible part, because if you're, some people will choose, okay, well, I've paid my power bill, I paid my mortgage, I have food, but what kind of food? That may vary. Because
Some ramen noodles.
I can tell
Yeah.
you that there have been times where I've gone to the ramen noodles and been like, you know what?
Hey,
it's gonna
ramen noodles are good.
it's gonna be ramen for a little bit. Oh, Matt
Look.
Melish knows.
You
Oh.
jazz up those ramen noodles by
Yes,
a lot
you
of
can.
things. I have put random stuff into my ramen noodles to get by, and you know, I'm still here, so
Whatever you gotta
have
do.
some in
Yeah.
as well. I've actually had some last week before I was paid, and I didn't know if I was going to get paid this week because I'm in between jobs, and I had that crossover, so I didn't know, you know, how much I was going to get left from my old job, and if I was going to get paid for my new job, if I'd missed the cut-off or not. So I literally bought like a pack of 5 of those of those noodles. And last week I had a pack for them for lunch, and I just one pack, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what they taste like. I forgot.
Now I remember.
Okay, they're
Now I
okay, but I
remember.
was like, now I know why I used to jazz them up a bit. You know?
Yeah.
They're okay.
Exactly.
They're all right. They're okay. They're good for just getting through. But do you have that kind of set where you think to yourself, oh, I really wish I got that? And do you have
Yes.
any left? I mean, have you got them all now?
No, so actually there's 2 really that I really regret not picking up, that were, just as you said, sort of in your hands or you were about to make that purchase.
Mhm.
The first is I don't know how into Star Wars you guys are, but it would be the
Pretty deep.
original Venator. So the playset
Okay.
from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm a Clone Wars kid. I grew up with the Clone Wars.
He
So
likes the
that
Clone
is like
Wars.
my peak Star Wars personally, which kind of sounds crazy, like it's an animated series, but anyways, I love it.
We both love the Clone
Yeah.
Wars, so
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Wonderful. So I had it in my hands at Toys R Us. I picked it up. I was so excited. I got my $120 in my pocket, ready to go.
Oh,
And my
no.
mom looks at me and she's like, 120? I bet you could get it for 100 at Target or Walmart or, on sale somewhere else. And I'm like,
the mom jousting.
well, maybe I could, because Toys R Us at the time as well, when Toys R Us was still around, they did kind of have like a price hike on
They
a lot
always
of their
did.
Lego sets.
yeah, you
Always
don't
did.
go there
And-
for a cheaper option.
Right. And I'm like, you know what? You're probably right. I could probably find it at Walmart. Little did I know, I was a young kid at the time. I didn't know what I knew today. I didn't use the internet as much as I do now. It was a Toys R Us exclusive. So I'm not finding it anywhere else. And then when I realized that, like probably like a month later, I went back to Toys R Us and they were all gone.
Sold out.
Ugh.
Oh, ow.
And then the second one, really quick, is the AT-OT dropship and Walker.
Okay.
The
Oh,
combo.
You're talking about. Yeah.
It was like $250. I saw it in the Lego magazine, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I'm gonna save up for that. And then my mom was like, once again, my mom making all these decisions for me, or pushing me into the wrong decision. Which this wasn't as bad. She was like, because on the next page was the Death Star. It was actually right above me. She was like, you should save up for that set. That's the one you would really want, right? Because it's like $400. This is like the end all be all. In her mind, it's like, if I can get him to buy this, I think he might actually be done with Lego. Because that was kind of the point where I was getting a little older. I was moving from middle school or elementary school. No, middle school into high school. Get this two mixed up.
Yeah.
And she's like, maybe this will be the last one that he gets. And then I built it, and I loved it, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I really want to get this next one. She's like, I guess he's not done with Lego yet, but
you know, it's interesting because I was talking to my mom the other day, and she thought the same thing. She was like, is this ever going to stop? Does this ever go away? I hate these bricks. They get everywhere, and I step on them, and they make a mess. And I always thought, oh well, I'm just hanging out in my bedroom and not leaving everybody alone. I figured that was a good thing. Like didn't you want me to not bother you? Isn't that the whole point? Shouldn't I go away over here and
doesn't this keep me out of trouble? Like,
right, exactly. And then a couple years ago when I started content creation with Lego, my mom was like, I had a feeling this was gonna come right back around, some point or another. And I told her, I was like, you do realize, like, this is a huge thing in the world. Like, people build awesome things out of this, and that it's a way to express what you like. Like, it's no different than, you going and buying pottery or whatever you like,
camera gear.
Exactly. They're really. It's just something. It's just something that you enjoy. My mom loves tennis. I was like, you have tons of tennis stuff. What's
Do you like do any building just for yourself, or have you fallen into that? I must save build for streaming thing. Or do you still allow yourself time to?
That's a great question.
Tinker outside of stream.
I've had a battle with it.
We stumped him.
I've had a battle with it. No, I'll be honest. Like, for everything that I've bought and have sent to me, it's always like, how much can I get out of this? Like, how much can I milk it? Yep. And I'm at the point where, honestly, like, being blessed to be in the land and having sets show up at my doorstep, like, I have those expenses sort of taken care of at this point in a way. And I can, like, kind of sit back with some of the older sets that I picked up with the intention of making content with, and now say, you know what, I think this one's just going to be for me. Because there are times when I feel like I've streamed a lot this month or the last few months, or I've been so focused on making content, and now I just need to kind of take a step back and, like, re-energize myself and remind myself, like, why I love Lego so much again. Because you get to a point every once in a while, just a little bit burned out. It's the same thing that you think about all the time, and it's what you do 24/7. You're going to get to that point, and so you need to take breaks. You need to be able to kind of, like, get out of your own four walls sometimes. That's why I love going for a run. I post a lot on my Instagram stories of, like, me working out and going for a run, because
I have seen those.
it just gets me out, and it's a reminder to other people that you should do the same too, I hope. So as much as I love Lego, and I pinch myself every time that, like, I come into my Lego room and see all that I have, it's also nice to just, as you said, take some time for yourself and really have that personal enjoyment with it, because that keeps you energized for all the content that you can create and the streaming that you can do.
And see, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. Where being on a limited budget already that I'm on, and then being on, a content creator budget, you look at it and you're like, okay, well, can I put this aside for me?
Right.
And I do. There are things that I will also be like, you know what? I've built every modular on stream. So when the Jazz Club came out, what was it, last year? Yeah, because we got 2 last year. I was like, you know what? I built all the other ones on here. I have not sat and built a modular for myself ever. So I built that one by myself, and I was like, you know what? That
That's
was
awesome.
really nice. That was fun. I actually got to sit and really dig in on the details and all the cool stuff. I do buy some smaller sets that I'll build for myself, or I'll get gifted things like brickheads from the lovely Becca Bubbles, because she knows I don't buy them for myself. It's like Funko Pop. It would be too big of a dark, deep hole that I would get myself into. But
I
those
stop me buying them for him, and I find it so funny.
Those things I built for myself. But we do find that a lot of the stuff we build for our content, and I think where you were saying that you sit and you look at all the stuff that you built online, and you're like, well, I didn't build anything for myself. This is supposed to be for me too. So I'm glad that you do take time to build for yourself, and also get out and exercise. That is super important. I like to stress that with people that are doing content creation, but also people that are just sitting at home and building or watching us. Get some fresh air, guys. Go take a walk, or if you got a dog, take your dog for a walk, or if you're like me, I'll take my camera and my dog out for a walk. People look at me weird. They're like, "You take your camera out for a walk?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going on a walk, so technically the camera is going on a walk."
Just to stress, he doesn't actually mean like on a lead, right? I mean,
Didn't know the camera had legs.
Exactly, right? So, saying, just imagine you with a dog on one lead and a phone like dragging around along on the ground.
I don't know.
Like a little skateboard or something.
I don't know. Sometimes the camera definitely leads me to places. Let me tell you.
Oh, there you go. Well, does that surprise me?
Spoken like a true photographer.
What about mocking? Have you ever done mocking? You experimented with that, or are you more like me, where you've just like stuck to sets? What's your mocking?
Yeah,
experience?
Do you have a bunch of loose pieces just hanging around?
I actually do have quite the assortment right in front of me of a ton of parts that I've amassed over the years, but it comes down to time, really, for me.
Yeah.
I love mocking. I love being creative. I love all forms of art, as I was saying earlier. And as I mentioned before, Lego is an art medium, and even the sets themselves are pieces of art that we get to display on the shelves behind us or wherever in our home, and there was a designer and artist who put it together. And I think sometimes that's lost on people when we're like critically analyzing Lego sets. It's like, I wonder why that person chose to make that decision. But
I do like asking that. I do like asking that question though.
right. But I think sometimes we forget like it was a human being that put this together.
Yeah.
Even though they have certain stipulations and whatnot. But I love mocking. It's just not something that I get to do very often because of the time that I like to put into it. Once again, guilty as a perfectionist in all forms of life here. So at some point, I would love to make more content focused around mocks. I have like
that'd be a lot of fun to see.
I have like a half-built Endor base in front of me that I need to finish at some point very soon. Which was actually a project through the Ambassador Network, where they're now doing a pick-a-brick program. So
which is really cool that they're doing that for you guys.
Right, especially for people who are more on the mock side of the Ambassador Network and who aren't as into the sets as much. But I love my sets, and I will always love sets. But I do go to Chicago or Virginia or whatever convention and find myself wanting to display at some point. So I will have to in the future.
We can't wait to see when you decide to do that. That's gonna be.
Well,
I've been saying it for years, so it might be a while.
Well, it's you've got time before Chicago next year if you're planning to go.
You've got it over a year away.
Work on that
less
indoor
than a year,
base,
but...
and I know someone. I know.
Oh, it does. Oh, it does.
I
I procrastinated so bad last year before Chicago, and me and Itzer worked on the build. It was a collab build, and we together procrastinated so badly the last month before Chicago came around. That's all we were doing was just building, and I was like, oh well, next year I should probably get this done months prior so that I'm not scrambling beforehand buying parts and searching through bulk for parts and tidbits and all this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna try better next time. We'll see. We'll see what actually happens.
Time does fly. I mean, it's mad, isn't it, that we were sort of the tickets for just talking about Chicago.
Yeah, tickets are already on sale, guys. If you guys are wanting to go to Brickworld Chicago, they're already available.
It's mad that there was this sort of rush to buy them as soon as they came out, and all the accommodation sold out really quickly, and it just shows you like how much of a burning desire there is to be there. But what interested me the most about the displaying was just all the different types, the little builds to the big builds, and just so much variety. And Puck's hopefully going to display again this year.
No, that's the plan. Yeah, we'll see what ends up actually happening.
Quite a few people that are planning to. So, if you want a little space on a table, it doesn't have to be big. We can always fit you on the end. But yeah, I would love to do try mocking. I've never had I've got quite a lot of sets, but apart from spare parts, I've never really had any kind of bulk to play with. But I don't think I've talked about this many times on these podcasts, but I've never allowed myself that creative space to do it because of the perfectionist thing. If it's not perfect first time, if it's not right first time, I will go, well, that's rubbish, not doing that. I'm not doing that again. You can't do it. That's it. And I've worked really hard over the last 9 years to kind of change, slowly grow, change, work on myself as a person, tried not to be quite so self-critical, which is extremely hard because I am my worst critic, just like you said before. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, I now am very, very close to somebody who has a lot of Lego. And
she has access to years worth of Lego.
He has this enormous bulk collection. So I, have said to myself, next time I get to spend some time, I'd really like to just sit and just tinker, and just see what comes out of it. Because I've always just sort of, followed this. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I loved following the instructions from the books, by the way, because I'm an old school girl. So I love turning the books and the new book smell, and that's just part of something I like. And I know one day they won't have the books at all, so I'm trying to enjoy them while they're still here. But that's me. So I'm looking forward to kind of having that. One day I'll have that new experience with Lego that I've sort of not had before. So yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to.
I think it's hard for creative people because I don't know if you guys feel this way too, but whenever I do something, whether it's making a video or even just working on art or photography or whatever it is, I have a vision in my head for what I want to do, and I can see it before I do it. And so I want to bring that to life in the best way possible, and I will take so much more time than is necessary in order to bring that out. And
100%.
I think that definitely can eat away at you when you're not able to reach that point, or you like don't have the ability to, or the time, or whatever the resources are. And I think when it comes to mocking, it's like you set out with an idea of what you want to do, and then you realize, oh, I don't have all the parts to do it in that way. But at some point, I think also having some restrictions can make for a better product than you even envisioned in your head, because it allows you to be more creative than you would have if you had access to every piece in the Lego collection. So I think like just taking that time and setting some time aside, carving it out for yourself, is really important, and it's something that I also need to do, and I'm guilty of not doing for a very long time. And I definitely want to at some point, just as you said, tinker, have fun, and as Lego puts it, play well.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with you. I always have that vision that pops up, and then I'm like, oh well, I can't quite reach it.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm with you in the aspect of, oh well, can I reach this in a different way? Can I change this to work a different way, a different route? And a lot of times that's what happens. I have to get creative into the limitations of what I have, and that will come in all different forms too, where I'll have something and I'm like, oh, this is this. I have to now do it this way because I only have rainbow colored bricks. So
Right.
I'll figure out, oh, okay, well, I can hide all these rainbow colored bricks on the inside and then cover them up to make it look like it's this. That will be that has been something that I've had to really take into account, because I'm one of those people where my autism and ADD is like, oh no, this can't be rainbow. Like, it just can't be. I don't like, a mountain should be all gray. It shouldn't be rainbow on the inside.
It's
How
like,
do you know? I mean,
Yes, I
nobody
know.
else knows, but you
Right,
know what the
exactly.
problems are.
I know that it's rainbow on the inside, but
I would
nobody
love
else
to
will
have
know.
everything that I own to be rainbow on the inside. It would make me happy. I swear, if you did like a biopsy of me, you're gonna cut me open, and inside everything is like rainbow and glitter. And I mean,
That's
that's
funny.
going to be a fun autopsy for someone one day. I hadn't thought of that before. Yeah.
I think
No.
also if you're new to mock building, one thing that I've learned, because once again, I'm the guy to have big plans and like a vision for what I want to do. Start small,
Yes.
because it's harder. It's harder to start with a big idea and then realize that you can't achieve it. It's easier to start small with a smaller idea and build out from there.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yes.
I had an experience right after Brick World Chicago with that in mind. I had fallen in love with what was it, the power miners or rock raiders. It's the one with the
Oh,
silver drills and the big rock monster.
yeah.
Rock Raiders, yeah.
Rock raiders, yeah. And at Brick World Chicago, I had bought one of the monsters because I had been looking for one in good condition, and it just happened that there had been one. Well, I brought him home, and I was sitting around, and I was on stream actually, and I think we had just finished a set, and I was like, let's change something up. Let's do some mocking. Well, the new jungle sets had just come out. Some of them had just come out, and I had the seaplane, or the water plane. I was like, we could do like some jungle theme with like Johnny Thunder and this rock monster, and so I built a little tiny. It's probably like 2 16 by 16 plates big. That's about as big as it is, and I was like, this would be great if I could expand from this. So that's how it started. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to start really small and
Mm-hmm.
get an idea fleshed out, and then maybe for next year Chicago I'll build something bigger,
There you go.
maybe. And
Yeah.
that's a great way to tell people is start small with your idea, and then you can expand later as you go and be like, okay, well, we're now going to add a river, we're going to expand the jungle scene. So
Right.
many things that you can do with it. And I tell people, sometimes a Lego piece, like a part,
Yep.
or a figure, or an animal, or something can spark an idea, and that will just lead to so many different things. And I'll tell people not to take advantage of a part. Be like, oh, well, this rubber ducky piece gave me a really cool idea. I'm gonna go and play around with this. Or this figure gave me a really cool idea. I have a friend that I met at Brick World Chicago, and he built this large castle build for Chicago. He was like, I have no social media, I have no presence online, I just enjoy doing this. But the Islander guys I mashed up, and they gave me an idea to do something. So now he's like creating it even bigger and adding in castle stuff, and it's so cool how that happens.
Right.
Talking about minifigures, because I'm a minifigure person, so I have to ask you about
Sure.
it. Do you collect any of the minifigs? Do you like the minifig series? Do you
Oh, yeah.
like them in general?
Oh yeah. I always have been a minifig guy, honestly.
Yay.
And I COVID
Oh.
really
Oh.
ruined me.
Oh
So
yeah.
back when COVID first started, the Disney Series 2 figs were still out.
Okay.
And I had to get them all because I'm a big
Of
Disney
course.
guy. And I kept going to the store kind of when like rumblings of COVID were happening, and like I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go back to the store. Something about toilet paper, I don't know. But
Oh my god,
I went
toilet
and I got them.
paper. Oh.
I got them all, and then I'm like, oh, these are really cool. And then the next series came out. They were just like regular figs or whatever. I'm like, these are really cool too. I'm gonna get some of these. And then I got the full wave. And then it's like, okay, I guess I'm collecting these now because I have 2 full waves.
Yeah.
And then now here we are in 2024, and they have like 3 waves a year of these things that come out every 5 months, and they don't last very long. And I'm running to Kohl's on release day to buy up the whole box, and people are cussing me out and upset at me for not leaving any for other people, yada, yada, yada. But it's what we do for the love of the brick,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
a box buyer. I once I found out about Minifig Plus online, that was kind of it. I was like, well, I can now buy boxes of these things at a time. And I don't have to go to Walmart and search it. And it's gotten so hard. So I live in San Antonio, Texas, and Walmarts here have they've shut all the Lego down into glass cases.
I hope that never happens here. I'm sure it's coming, but man, that stinks.
So what happened in San Antonio is we are one of the largest growing cities in the world. Oh, not in the world, sorry. In the country. We went from number 15 to, I think we're number 4, I think, somewhere around there, like the
Crazy.
4th largest growing city in the country. We went from when I moved here, we were at only 1.2 million people. We're now at 3.3 million people. And Lego theft apparently skyrocketed, and people were stealing and pawning, and just it was
it's a shame.
The San Antonio Police Department had to put a stop to it, and they told Walmarts, they were like, you got to lock these things up. They're selling them to pawn shops and to people, and it's stolen property, and it's just becoming a thing. So here we are, September 2024, and all the Walmarts now are locked up, and I don't buy Lego from Walmart anymore, because the hardest part is when you want to get a set out, you got to find somebody. That's not the hard part. The hard part comes to when you're going in and buying the minifigs. Well, when I go to Walmart and I'm like, hey, I need to get a minifig out of here. They're like, oh, okay. They just go in, they grab one and hand it to you, and you can no longer do any scanning. Back, when we could feel, the ones that had started glass early, you couldn't feel anymore. So it didn't matter anyhow. So I was like, you know what? I'm not buying from you anymore because I can't even look at it. Chris
Vote with your wallet.
made a great point there. Glass case is better than a damaged box from security straps. That's true. You are right on that. But also, you can't even look at the boxes normally, and you can't choose. So if they grab a box that's damaged anyways, that's basically what you get, because the person isn't going to go digging through the stuff to hand you a different box. It's just that's how it goes. But it was really hard to see.
I think when it comes to like all the people, and admittedly, and this is a problem for space, I am a box guy. I like having the boxes. Boy. And I think for those mint collectors, I'm not that, but like for the people who just like want the sets in a box in like a full collection of whatever in like pristine packaging, I think those people are going to have a really hard time in the future, because nowadays, even if you go to the Lego store or your favorite big box store, whatever it is, Walmart, Target, what box is perfect anymore? Like there are very few, very few.
Yes. And I'm not a box collector most of the time. There are sets that I do keep boxes from. So we're talking the Lego Ideas, the Bricklink sets, the modulars, certain Disney, your big sets of like Lion's Night Castle, that kind of stuff. Those I keep mainly because for like the modulars, I have an idea that I'm going for, where when I'm in a bigger space, which hopefully in the next couple years I'll be in a bigger space.
I'm in that same boat too. I know that feeling.
Yeah. We were actually talking about it yesterday, where my husband was like, what do you want me to look for when we move house-wise? And I gave him some ideas of what I would like. Basement is one, so I can take over said basement.
I'd like to have a basement because I want all the basements.
Yes.
The basement will be mine.
Well, he understands. He understands that
right.
I am.
That's lovely.
I'm a creator, be it Lego or my photography, and I need space. And currently, I am in what they call like a little hobbit hole. And when I have a bigger space, my idea with the boxes are, so for modular boxes, they're going to get framed. I'll have the fronts actually cut out of them, like professionally cut and put into like a frame, and then have all the boxes framed up on the walls, kind of deal.
No, I love that idea.
So that's what I have for the modulars. Lego Ideas, I may do the same with, get the fronts cut up and put them in, UV protected glass kind of thing. Not that in a basement there's a lot of sun, but still. But I tell people, collect how you want to collect. That's how it goes. But you are right. The big box stores, you're not really gonna have a lot of choices when it comes to the boxes, because they're not really paying attention to it. I still find that going to the Lego store, though, they are really good about it with certain people, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's a funny way that works, because if you're someone that goes to the Lego store occasionally and you're buying, they may not really what's the word? They may not
Accommodate
you as much as they would someone like Matt or even myself, who I'm going to the Lego store on the regular. So my Lego store has been very nice. When I go in and I grab a box off the shelf, if it's dented, and I'm like, hey, do you have this modular box by any chance in a better shape in the back? my Lego store guy knows who I am. I know the manager quite well. Yeah, I've got his number and he's got my number. We know
cool.
each other.
That's really cool.
I'm like, hey, can I get it? Can I get one from the back? And he's like, oh, sure, I've got another one in the back,
great.
not a problem. And I think if you ask nicely, they'll do it for you, because that's how Lego is typically. But I think for people that they know are collectors and are content creators and things like that, it's kind of an extra step they take for us, because they know that I'm spending a lot of money. And when I mean a lot of money, guys, we sometimes spend a lot of money. And it's really cool that they can do that. Now, have things changed a little bit? Yes, because the amount of sets that people are buying now has gone from, oh, well, I'm going to buy one set. Well, now I'm buying like 10. Or I'm going to clear out a shelf. I went, when did I go? It was 3 months ago when I went last, because this was before my car wreck. And a guy, I think it was right when Balladur came out. And the guy grabbed them all off the shelf, like all of them. There were like 9 on the shelf, and the guy just like took all of them off the shelf. And it's not the same when you're buying online, because online it limits you.
Right.
My Lego store is in a wealthier area, and they just want to make sure they're meeting their quota. So they're like, okay, well, if the dude wants to buy all 9 of them, we're gonna let him buy all 9 of them. And I looked.
I've never heard of that. That's not happened at my Lego stores. Now, granted, I don't live that close to a Lego store. I'll be honest. I have 3, and they're all equal distant away. Like,
so how far is a Lego store trip for you?
Technically, the closest is an hour and a half, and that's in Ohio.
That's not too bad.
But I also have Buffalo and Pittsburgh, so like those are within 2 hours around. It's just like still an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, gas money. It's not worth it.
So I'm kind of gonna blow your mind here for a second, to show you how big my city is. So San Antonio, from my house on the southeast side of the city to the Lego store downtown at the mall, the big mall, that it takes me about an hour to get to.
Okay. Wow.
That's now just like to go to the mall.
That's my local mall. Now to go to the nice, the new really nice Lego store that I go to, that's an hour and a half drive there and an hour and a half drive back, and that's still in the city limits. I haven't left the city. I'm still in the city.
There you go.
So I love hearing stories from people. They're like, oh, well, I have to leave my state to go to a Lego store, and I'm like, that's just really funny.
I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, I have to leave my village. Darn it. That half an hour drive is such a grind. If I drive an hour and a half, I'm in another county.
And even looking at it from a point where if I wanted to go to another Lego store that I don't ever go to, which is in Austin, like I can take the interstate, and I can be there in 2 hours. and be in Austin and go to that Lego store. So in my driving distance from my house, you can hit 3 different Lego stores within a 3-hour kind of drive.
Wow.
And then if you wanted to, you could go to Dallas. You could hit that in 5 hours, or go over to Houston in 3 hours, which is crazy to think about because you're like, wait a second, it takes an hour and a half to get across my city. But then if you drive another hour and a half, you're in Houston, because of the location of where I live.
Sure.
In the city, it's kind of I'm about 45 minutes from the main city limits, and then you go the opposite direction and you're headed towards to Houston. But I love hearing people's Lego drive stories. It's just awesome.
And as the chat indicated, the closer you are, the more dangerous it is for your bank account.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
For
and,
sure.
you know,
For
I've
sure.
I've been in the lucky position where my car wouldn't make it. I live on the south coast of England. My nearest one is in Brighton, which is on the south coast. It's, if you know where London is, if you drive directly south, if you go directly south from London, when you hit the sea, that's where Brighton is, essentially, just for anybody who doesn't know England very well. And that's about, and then I'm about half an hour drive with, perhaps a little more with traffic. But my car I had was very old, and with the traffic and everything, I've been sort of, oh well, she'll never make it to Brighton. Do I really want to go on the train? And well, I picked up a new car today, so
congratulations, let's go.
That's awesome.
You. So that I haven't got that excuse anymore. So I need to find a new one, and quick. now much more accessible to me. No, I have to be good. I've got to some travel I want to afford, so I must be good.
There you go.
So I would like to, we're at about an hour and 28 minutes, so we're coming up to that 90-minute mark. I do want to open up questions to chat a little bit. If you guys have any questions you'd like to ask Matt or any of us here on the podcast, we can open it up to some questions. Matt, do you have any questions for either of us? Anything that you would like to touch base on before we say goodbye to everybody?
I guess something that I've been thinking about lately, just as it pertains to being a Lego content creator and being a part of the Lego Ambassador Network as well, is that I find a lot of people have questions about it, or they don't necessarily fully understand what it is and why certain things are the way they are. So I guess what I'm wondering for you guys is, as someone who is a part of that program, how can someone such as myself, I guess, be a better Lego ambassador, or be a better content creator in that space, if you know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying. Absolutely. So to come at you for another question while we're thinking about our answer to that
Sure.
question. For content creators, that I think one of the questions that a lot of us Lego content creators have is, how do you get into that kind of program? Because I know that it's kind of a quote unquote a cutthroat program. It's not easy to get that RFLM status. I think that's the hardest thing that a lot of people don't understand, is how you can apply, how do you get in,
Sure.
what does it take? So I think that's a question that I always have as a content creator to someone that's a Lego ambassador, is how do you get that invitation to do that? Because I think that's not explained very well. I think when people say, "Oh, I'm a Lego ambassador," okay, but how did you get there? What were the requirements? Yeah, how hard was that to do?
Sure. So actually, it's a lot simpler than I think people make it out to be. There is a bit of information out there, but it might not be as useful depending on who you are particularly. And what I mean by that is, I get a lot of questions as well in just my DMs and people wondering the same thing, like, how do you get in the program? Of like, do I have to have a certain audience size? What are like the requirements, if any? And there really aren't any in
Okay.
that sort of like definitive way. Like if you have a large community online that you represent that isn't already sort of spoken for, you have a higher likelihood of being accepted. So for
Okay.
instance, myself, like when I applied, there really weren't that many short form specific, particularly TikTok oriented recognized fan media. And so I had that benefit of like kind of representing a community from a new platform that wasn't already sort of carved out yet on the land. So finding how you kind of bring in a unique perspective or audience so that you can represent their voice, I think that's the most important part.
Right, of course.
But then, like, if you're someone online who has a large following, whatever that is to you, like on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, wherever, and you want to be a part of the program, I think it's worth just applying, looking at the application. I'm not sure if it's currently live right now. I think it actually is. So just going to the website and actually just looking at the questions, I think will give you a feel for like, do I fit in this? Can I answer these questions?
Yeah.
And I think it's worth anybody who's interested in doing that to go ahead and take a look.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've always been curious, because I think what I would bring would be the podcasting. I I do Twitch, of course, like that's one of the things I do, but I think my uniqueness would be this kind of program, bringing people
Sure.
on to chat about Lego and to kind of get real with it. That's
Hmm.
that's what I like is we get real with the Lego.
Yeah.
We want to get down and dirty and nitty gritty with it and really understand why people are doing what they're doing and
Sure.
having conversations with people like you that are really deep into the community, getting your perspective as to what's going on. And
Sure.
I found people really do like to listen to this kind of content. Chris McBricker says recommended black light sets for us, Matt. And Bricklet says, do you have to move to Legoland or is there a Legoland embassy in the US?
I don't know.
That's some funny questions.
Can you move to Legoland? Because if you can, I know where I'm going to move to next. I will live at Legoland happily in a Lego house. Oh, it'll be uncomfortable, but it'll be worth it.
So I think when it comes to like, if you want to actually work for Lego and be a Lego designer, you have to move to Denmark. You have to go to Billund and like work directly with them.
That's what I was understanding.
But like, depending on what position you have, if you're like working for the company, like as a fan media, I don't work for Lego. I get to like work with Lego on certain projects. And like I said earlier, kind of bridge the gap between my community and the company. But like, I know one of my leaders in the program works in the US. I think they're moving to Virginia. I think they're relocating. But like, if you work for Lego, you don't have to move to Denmark necessarily. It just depends on what the position is.
Yeah.
I'm providing a very serious answer to a particularly funny question, but
hey, that's good. That's a good way to handle it. We like that. That's good.
And then I don't even know. I don't know what this blacklight set question is. I think like which set looks good under like a blacklight. Like which colors pop. and I wouldn't know the answer because I don't have a black light to test that out with. So
No.
I would say anything probably neon color
Yeah.
will give you some fluorescentness. So think like the video sets,
Yeah, I was
those
literally
classic
about to
those
say
classic
great sets
those
to choose.
classic green canopies. A good person to go and check out would be like Squidos. He has some blacklight stuff that he does. He'll have some cool videos on his page that he does a bunch of blacklight stuff. That'd be a good person to go check out.
cool.
Definitely.
But yeah, we have one oh go ahead. No,
I was going to answer Matt's question about
Awesome.
you were saying, what can I bring, what can I do, and what I bring to this is a perspective of someone who is just I just watch, I don't stream, and for me the things that attract me to come back and to keep coming back is
she always forgets that she podcasts with me though.
Yeah, but I forget about that because that's not what I'm doing. I'm just here having a chat with you guys. There's no one else here. That's good. That's the way I can cope with it. Okay. So I love it when how you talked about being authentic and being real. I can tell very quickly when somebody's not being authentically themselves, and that does bother me. So I say authenticity. When you're putting yourself out there, it's difficult, and you'll kind of do, like you said, I understand, like you're there to entertain, and you bring your best self to stream when you want to, but there's still a way to do that authentically. And for me, it's about accessibility and just to try and make an environment that everybody is welcome, and try to bring different levels of thoughts about different people in our community, where we've done, when I've been part of Puck Stream, we used to do sort of crinkle warnings and things for people who
Oh my
had
God,
sensory
yes.
issues. But just making everybody feel welcome, and just also just keeping it, allowing yourself to explore new things. And how you talked about things having to be perfect. Well, actually, when you're building or creating and doing a stream, and maybe something doesn't go the way you planned, or maybe something isn't quite right, and you're like, oh, I'm kind of bummed that didn't work out. But if we all do that, and so when you see that happen on stream, it makes you feel better because you think, oh, well, this guy that I really admire and respect and I love this stuff has the same problems I do. So I think it's just that for me, it's just, letting yourself experiment, and you can see it reflects on stream when you're enjoying yourself and you're, creating, and
I agree.
your passion comes across in what you do. For me, that's what makes me want to keep coming back. So just wanted to.
That's great to hear. Awesome. Great. Really good. Really good answer.
I'm gonna have to agree with Becca on when I'm creating, I do get so in my head where I get nervous sometimes too, because I'm like, oh, am I gonna make a big mistake? Am I gonna get canceled today? Is that gonna happen?
It's happening a lot these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Cancel culture is a thing. And I really do. People know me. People know that I am just a ball of energy. I'm a little wacky, and I go with it. But I am always thinking, I'm like, okay, well, I can be over the top, but I have to make sure I don't go this far over the top, because then nobody's going to want to come and hang out and see my content. And I do go online and I look at what people are doing for content just to get ideas of how I want to proceed forward to make sure that I am myself, but I am also staying in that, okay, I'm not going to get canceled mode. Because that is the scariest part of being a creator is when I rely on people listening to podcasts and listening to Twitch and following me on Instagram, when I rely on that, and then, oh well, you know, this person just got caught doing this, well, that could devastate, a lot of things. So I look at it as a yeah, let's be real. Let's keep things real on the channel. Let's keep things real with Lego. But at the same time, you do have to be careful out there as a content creator, because you've now put yourself into, well, now you're a public figure category.
Mm.
People know who you are. I had people in Chicago come up to me that I didn't even know were watching me.
Mm-hmm.
They've never said anything in chat, and I just look at it and I'm like, oh, you've been watching me for 3 years now and never said anything, and you know who I am. That gets in my head as, oh well, now I'm at that public figure point of my life where, oh, someone could recognize me anywhere, any place, anytime. And if I'm not behaving myself, or not behaving myself at all, that could really backlash on you. And I think that's something people also have to remember when they're doing any form of online content, is remember people are watching, and remember that you are now responsible for your actions out in the world. Because if you do something bad, and let's say you were to get into like legal trouble, they will hold you up to the same as someone that's, a public figure, because people do know who you are. I do like to remind people of that.
So
Yeah.
be good, everybody. Be good. Did you?
Yeah.
When you're
Did
putting
you
yourself
say
out
that...
there, you are putting yourself out there.
It
Yes.
is true. It is true, and we do all have the responsibility to, try and be our, best selves, to lead in a good example for others at the very least.
Yeah.
Did you say there was one more question?
Oh yeah, we would like to know what your favorite element is today.
Ooh.
Your
Today.
favorite Lego
Today.
element.
It does
Yeah,
change.
we say
It
today
does
because
change.
we do a different one every single time we podcast.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's today is always the way to ask it, and it's always a tricky question.
Trying to think like if I go like super rounded, or yeah, I think I will. Today would probably be the Travis brick,
Okay.
which is the snot brick with studs facing everywhere except for one place, which is the anti-stud. And I think that one just allows you to do so much cool stuff, that also is very I guess grounded. It's not like, oh, this really fun piece that looks cool and I just love building with. It's just like one of those things that you need, because some of those are really important to have, and it's like, I can never
Super
have
important.
enough. I can never have enough of these, and I always run out. So the old reliables are up there for me as my favorite, because I always go back to them.
That's a good one. For me today is going to be the egg, piece. This guy, the little egg. Mainly because I've been using it lately for like little details on buildings and such, because it just gives a little bit of depth to building design. I live in the architecture world normally with my Lego. It's usually either that or nature scenes with some sort of animal or something, and the egg was just happened to be one of those where I was like, oh, I'm designing a building and it has these eggs on it, so that's what my piece is today.
I'm gonna go with a piece I saw on stream. One of our very good friends who's been in here on the podcast before. I was watching KK build stream, and he was doing shout out to our good friend KK. He was doing that new ish all the little baby succulents sets, and he made that. He built the whole all of them on stream, but he made the one of the little one that had the whole thing was basically made out of the little purple butterflies. and
Oh,
it's just
that's
so
cool.
cute, and it's so, I mean, it's so sweet. So I'm going to go with that little purple butterfly piece today.
that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That's
So we
it.
want to thank you so much, Matt, for coming on and chatting with us. It has been fantastic. We've had some really good conversations and just enjoyed having you. Would you like to tell people where to find you, how to find you, kind of just promote yourself a little bit?
Sure. And thank you guys for having me. It's always
Oh,
an
of
honor
course.
Yeah,
to
We enjoyed
absolutely
it.
our pleasure.
hang out, especially with people here on Twitch. I do typically stream here every weekend, every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Lately, life has been a little chaotic, we'll say, and I've had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, so I haven't really been streaming much, but I'm going to be getting more into it.
Hey,
More,
this counts, right? This counts as your stream for the week.
Sure, exactly.
There you go.
I'm going to be getting back into it and being more consistent here next month. So I appreciate people bearing with me through crazy times as they are. But I also am, of course, over on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, where I post primarily short form content. And once again, I am grateful to work with LEGO directly and be in the LEGO Ambassador Network and represent my community on all platforms. So I always love to hear from the community so that I can then report back and give feedback as necessary. So I always look forward to connecting with people.
Are you Matt Melish across all of your platforms?
Yep.
You
It's
are.
me everywhere.
That makes it real easy to find you. That's wonderful.
That's fantastic.
So I want to thank everybody that was that came out today to listen to the podcast and that was here listening and asking questions and just supporting the channel. If you guys want to support us, just remember you can like, follow, and subscribe on all the platforms. We do appreciate it. If you guys would like to support the podcast, you can do that via either support directly on the tip jar or subscribing. It is September. Don't forget. As well as, Matt Melish is also a streamer too. So September is the best time to get some subs and you get some discounts in there. And we do appreciate everybody. We will catch you guys next time. So before we leave, I'm going to just announce what's going on next week. So next Friday, October the 4th, I believe, is the date. I'm going to check my calendar to make sure I'm getting that correct. Yes, October the 4th, we are meeting with the head of the Bricklink Designer Program, Alex. He's going to come on and have a chat with us. So be on the lookout for that. And we will catch you guys next time. Happy building, everybody. And
hopefully see you guys around next week.
We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.